Guys, we are open to questions. You can type them in the event and join us in the Hangout. But already there's a question from the audience, John.
Oh, cool.
Jenny is asking that in the previous Hangout we talked about surveys and actually asking customers how to, opinions and stuff. And she's saying that she can survey their customers, but most of the time they just, skip the survey questions, and she's not getting any feedback from them. So do you have any suggestions about that?
Uh-huh. Well, I think the first thing I would say to Jenny is, it's good that you're trying to do surveys because a lot of business owners don't do that and solopreneurs. But it's also important that you don't ever want to make your survey mandatory. So as you pointed out, some of these customers and clients don't want to be bothered with a survey, especially if you're putting a big multi-question survey out there with a dozen questions. And they're all drop-down boxes that give them selections about this, that, or the other thing. I think what you really want to be doing is creating simple kind of fill-in-the-blank survey forms that will use open-ended questions. That's really a better way to get them to complete your survey. Is just give them a comment box, even just one or maybe a few more. But using open-ended questions can have a better survey response. But I'm glad to hear you're trying, right?
Yeah, so that's first time is like you try. But do you have any specific examples of open-ended questions that we can survey our customers with?
Yeah, in fact, 5 of my favorite questions that I like to use, and I guess you don't have to write them down. You'll have this hangout, and you can listen to, or I'll provide them as part of the resources I'm going to give out later on. But my 5 favorite questions, Ifat, are really number one. You want to ask, how did you find out about us, right? And leave an open-ended question so they can answer that. The second question I like to ask is, what convinced you to buy from us? And that really gets to what was my competitive advantage that made them actually purchase from my business. The third question I like to know the answer to is, how would you describe our business to your friends? Right?
I like that one.
Yeah, what are they saying about us, right? How do they describe us in their own words? And let them type it in, this open-ended question. The fourth question I like to ask is, what drove you to buy the type of product or service we sell? And that's around getting some voice of the customer around what was the need that drove them to make a purchase of our type of product or service. And then the fifth question, if I choose to put 5 questions on the survey form, the fifth one I always like to ask is, what's the one thing you would change about our company's website if you could? And that's gathering some customer voice of the customer feedback on how was the experience from a usability perspective from our website, things like that. But if you ask those 5 questions, or even only the first 3, you're going to get a lot more insight as to what the customers are really feeling about your brand. Yeah.